Hi, Chassa.
Hello, Giovanni. Back at it again, Daniel.
Daniel?
No, you haven't seen that meme?
No.
Back at it again, Daniel. It's old.
Damn, Daniel. Back at it again with the white van.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh,
I was like, you forgot my name. Like, how are you?
I'm going to find it later. I'll show you. No, I am feeling good, fresh, and excited. What about you?
Yeah, I'm good. Actually, I had a tooth extraction. So I say I'm good, but like low-key inside my mouth right now, it's just painful.
Still painful now?
Yeah, man.
Why did you have to get it extracted?
Because I did the typical thing of neglecting something for longer than I should have done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tough lesson to learn, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, you've learned it the hard way now. So,
yeah.
But you need the arnica, I'm telling you. Get the arnica. It helps with bruising.
I ordered it, so yeah, I'm going to try it.
And in future, you should take arnica before you get like any kind of operations and extractions and all of that, and then take it after as well.
Yeah, arnica. What is arnica?
Good question. I just know that it's like a healthy herbal like way of healing, healing bruising
Natural.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it comes from a flower.
It is, yeah. Exactly.
Sweet.
That's
Steps
my
I Took
field.
podcast.
We're here.
This is the podcast in the UAE that invites special guests on to share the journey, the steps they took towards greatness.
Well, we're here to take all the wisdom from the lessons that they've learned, basically, and hopefully help inspire us on our journeys as well.
Yeah, and who do we have today?
Today, we have a phenomenal woman who has gone from strength to strength, building different businesses from in Ireland as well as Dubai, onto new ventures now, and actually completely different ventures, which is so interesting that I'm looking forward to delving into. She's a mother out here, a wife, a friend, and obviously a serial entrepreneur. So I'm really, really interested in hearing her whole story and delving into it. So thank you, Nadia, for joining us.
Thank
Welcome.
you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
How would you describe yourself, or what businesses do you own?
Currently, I am working on, I have mostly in F&B and catering. So I have Drip Burgers, which is the original brand that most people know. And kind of behind the scenes is a wellness F&B brand, which I've just kind of started launching and moving more into the holistic wellness space with healing and that kind of thing. And actually healing with food through food as your medicine. So still in the F&B kind of arena with a lot of added things. I also do like a lot of F&B consulting. So whether it's like concept creation to like literally operations to getting it like your concept come to life and setting the whole thing up like A to Z, anything F&B, I've kind of done it all over the years. Yeah.
And Drip Burger, I feel like you missed out something about, you know, Drip Burgers standing in the UAE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's claim to fame. Yeah, it's it won an award on Virgin Radio's Best Burger on Chris Fade show, and that was on 2023, and it was an amazing win because it meant that all of the people that truly love our brand actually went out and voted for us, and that's how we won the award, which was amazing.
Yeah, I definitely think if you're in Dubai, you need to try a Drip Burger. I personally recommend the one that has the
Honey.
Yes, the
Anything with
jam.
honey is good.
There's the like this jam thing that you put in
the
it.
bacon jam.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a His Highness, and then the
It's
other
so
one
good.
is honey sriracha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like just for context, Virgin Radio is like a mainstream radio station.
Yeah, it's
in-
probably the number one here. I think for most expats at least.
Yeah, and people have to vote, right, for...
Yeah, they had to vote to win that one. So it went out to the public, and I think that we made it to top 10. We beat out brands like Pickle, High Joint, et cetera, et cetera. And then they kind of sent us a message, you're in the top 3. And then I knew at that moment we were winning it. So I kind of just, I swear, I went in with that. And I was like, I'm winning it.
I love that.
Yeah, I knew.
Absolutely love that. So, I mean, I want to delve into everything that you just spoke about because healing through food,
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Okay, so exactly like what you were just talking about, like arnica oil.
Yeah.
So every herb and plant has its like uses. And actually, I'm going to go now soon to go and stay in Usha village, which is in Honduras, to study herbal medicine through Dr. Sebi. So he really believes in like the alkaline diet, and he's actually healed a lot of people literally for all types of diseases, including cancer, etc., etc. Diabetes, herpes, HIV, like you name it, everything can be cured through what you put in your body, and then your environment also that needs to assist with it. And so that's kind of the healing journey that I'm going on. And I want to bring that to everybody else because food is very, very powerful. Food is like the fuel for your car. Let's say if you put the wrong type of petrol in, it's just gonna like fall apart. If you maintain your car, you give it the love and the care and attention it needs, even after 10 years, your car can still run on for decades, So our bodies is the same kind of mechanism. If you are taking care of what you put inside it, that's literally feeding your cells, like on a cellular level. That's kind of where it starts at. So food is also energy, right? So it's the energy that you're also putting into your domain. Like this is your vessel, and you really need to take care of it from like every single point. So I think starting point is food and understanding that, and then you kind of move forward.
Have you always been this interested in how food affects you?
It's funny because when I graduated, I studied fine art, but I also just did, finished my school just to get the points. We do a point system in Ireland so that I can decide what I was going to study in university. I need to get X amount of points. So for me, I was like, I'm going to do art. It's fine. I don't need many points. But I still did get the points. And the option that I wanted to choose was sports, science, and nutrition. So all related to like food and everything. It's like, what you're interested in, but you still don't go on that path. And then somehow eventually now I found myself there. Like I really do care about it. It's something I've always cared about.
That's nice. And I think like, I'm looking forward to delving into all of that. We do have a tradition on every podcast that we ask our guests at the beginning. And it's just to let us know one good thing that's happened to you over the last 7 days.
Ooh.
A highlight.
So many amazing things. Because I'm really in gratitude is everything. So will I list a few?
Top 2?
Being able to choose the opera. So my uncle he's not my blood uncle, but he's a family, close family member. He's sick in hospital, and choosing to being able to be in this situation and choose to see the positive out of it, which is help his kids that are visiting here and don't even live here, and help them through that situation, and actually gather everyone around to provide a supporting environment, and being given that opportunity to do that, and being given the opportunity to actually be able to help them. And I've been able to help them in a lot of ways. So I'm very grateful for that. And then another thing is my dad told me I was his mentor, which was amazing. And that happened within the last 7 days. So that was an amazing thing to hear. And I didn't expect it.
These are both really beautiful things.
Yeah.
I mean, in times of hardship, I think often all of us forget, actually, I'm grateful that I am able to support whoever it is in this situation, or finance whatever it is that needs to be financed, and all of those things that we take for granted when we're hit with hardship. So it's really nice that you've taken some gratitude from that.
Thank you. Really, definitely have.
And then when it comes to your father, can we delve into your childhood and how your upbringing was, why that comment in particular was so important to you?
Yeah. So basically, as a kid, I mean, I had a great childhood. From what I remember, I never believed that, I come from a broken household. So my parents divorced when they were 7. I never really believed that any of it affected me, but come to think of it, now that I'm kind of doing a lot of healing work on myself, I've realized it did affect me. So on my dad's side, we were living in a house where my dad was very successful. He's a serial entrepreneur, created a whole empire from literally nothing. And I was always around him, seeing all of that grow. And he started with F&B and then went to hospitality. From starting, I think he had as every Pakistani man does, he has his first clothing store that he opens. And then after that goes into food and opens a burger chain, actually. And then restaurants that won awards. And then his first hotel in Ireland. And then he opened 5 hotel apartments here in Dubai. And they were 4-star. And then on my mom's side, we literally lived in a council house because she didn't want to take anything from my dad. And she, we didn't have heating, that is so difficult in Ireland, to not have heating. We had 2 fireplaces. I was always cold. I was embarrassed to invite any of my friends over because they would be freezing, not for any other reason. And we had awful, awful neighbors because we lived in a council estate, and just everyone around is kind of troubled. So, they were throwing sofas and couches into our front garden. They also blew up a car in front of our house, set it on fire. So we didn't really feel safe, living there. So I lived in this kind of 2 different lives, kind of 2 different worlds. One where everything was kind of easy and not difficult. My dad had more than enough money. We had a driver. We had help in the house. To my mom's side, where she made us walk, you know, for an hour in the snow to carry the grocery bag so that we could save the bus fare. And
this
she
is
worked
all-
3 jobs.
This is all back in Ireland, so it's not the norm for you to have house help in Ireland like it is in Dubai.
No, I actually went to a very it was a semi-private school, and a lot of the people there were far richer than my family, and then some just like quite average. But you know, it wasn't the norm even in their households. Like the most that they would have is a cleaner to come and clean every so often. I think there was only one guy who had an au pair, which was amazing, but he was like minted, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was completely like 2 different worlds.
And what's your background? So like, where's your dad from and where's your mum from?
My dad is from Pakistan, but he moved to England when he was 16 and studied there. And my mom is English, fully English, from Liverpool.
Yeah. So what was that like growing up, you know, in Ireland? Because, you know.
And how did you get to Ireland?
Yeah, that my parents, they both met in England, and my dad was studying civil engineering, so he was doing like full-time uni hours and also had like a job to pay for it on the other side, and he met my mom in Huckleberry Finn's, which was the fast food takeout, like let's say a McDonald's version of someplace, and then he became like floor manager and worked his way up and left civil engineering and said, I'm going to start my own business. So he started his clothing store, and I think every Asian is a businessman. Like all the Indians, Pakistanis seem to be businessmen. And then they decided, well, Ireland is a good opportunity. So they moved and then started there. And then we were all born in England, but my parents were already living in Ireland. And then he just kind of went from there.
And so like as a mixed, half, I guess half white, half Pakistani, English white, right?
English white.
Yeah. So what was that like for you? You know, you said you grew up in a council estate. I imagine there probably wasn't many mixed kids growing up.
There
or
was
were there?
actually a few. Like one of my good friends on my road, Karen, she was half black, half white. The same thing. Her mom had a difficult story, and we were like the good kids on the road. We didn't really kind of mix too much with everyone else. We kind of just mixed together and then like avoided it. So it wasn't the easiest to live on that road. We kind of just kept ourselves sheltered and avoided making friends. And then maybe a bit of bullying when you go to the shop or something like that, because people are like shouting and like saying like, I mean, I heard my first rhyme at that point. It was like, hey, you Pakistani, it goes on. Like it wasn't very nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. Because we were still going to a school in a nice area in a nice neighborhood. Then everyone just thought I was like Romanian. There's a lot of gypsies in Ireland at the time, and I had like a mole, and they thought like brown hair, brown girl. Okay, she's a Romanian gypsy. So it was interesting. But my school, my friends, they were great and very open. And my primary school was a Muslim national school, so I was always with kind of people around. And then the next school was a German school, so again, German and Irish mix. It was okay.
And you had like, I guess, almost like 2 contrasting lifestyles, you know, on the one hand, you're living it up, and then on the other hand, you know, you're carrying shopping bags in the snow for an hour.
Like, why do we have to do this? You know?
Did you have like, back then, I don't want to make an assumption, but did you have a preference as to what you preferred out of the 2?
Actually, I was really, really like deeply connected to my mum. So everything she believed, I like kind of took on, and that's kind of what I've noticed I've had to like undo a lot of as I've grown older. But like she believed like, you know, you didn't need to take anything from your dad. She didn't want to. She can do everything for yourself. You know, your financial freedom means your own freedom, because she had this belief that my dad was controlling us through money. So she didn't want us to have that. So she made sure as well, both my dad and my mom made sure that we worked from a young age, 14 and younger. We were always working, earning our own money. If we earned our own money, we could do what we wanted. Nobody could kind of like say what we could and couldn't do, because my mom's assumption on my dad's side, because of the different cultures, would be your dad will tell you, oh, you can't go to this place, or you can't go and do that. Like he'll control your life, you know. We weren't allowed to sleep over in friends' houses. You know, we were raised like Muslim, and there's limitations with what you can do. So my mom was very much so about us like learning and like with freedom with our life. And that's kind of how she taught us that we could do that. So for me, it was definitely conflicting, but I also can say that I took on more of my mom's belief systems than my dad's.
And it seems like there's a lot of emphasis on money.
Yeah,
A lot,
because
like-
I think my dad would say, because my mom left my dad at that time, right? So my mom would always say, like, money is not everything. Love is the most important thing. And she would almost hate money. I think it was kind of like a resentment towards my dad, because my dad in their marriage put so much emphasis on money. Maybe he wasn't present or around because he was always working, that kind of thing. So that rubbed off on us. And then for my dad, he would literally say, like, money, I would tell him, money's not the most important, Dad. And he'd say, it is. It's very, very, very important for you to live your life. Like, it starts with money and then the rest falls into place, you know? I'm like, okay, who do you believe?
So where do you sit in kind of the middle of the two ends of the spectrum now?
Well, I've learned that you can have money and be present in your life. I've had to break down the belief system that money is bad. And I realized I had that from my mom. You know, love is very, very important, but you can have both, and it shouldn't be seen as a negative thing. You shouldn't have negative feelings towards money, because all that will do for you is keep money away from you. So if I look at my mom's life, it has kept money away from her. And this is something that she's working on now. And I've had to learn it, and then also, like, almost not teach it to my mom, but like kind of show her the same way that, you know, you really don't have to push it away from you. You have to wholly embrace everything. You should be able to enjoy everything in this life with no limitation, you know? You deserve all.
And we were speaking earlier about you being on your healing journey now.
Yeah.
Because lots of people are on their healing journeys, right?
Yes.
Or trying to, or
Yeah.
starting to, and all of those things. And you're speaking about unlearning and taking all of these things in. But what steps, or what is an actionable kind of word of wisdom that you can advise people to do to actually begin to unlearn anything?
100% being self-aware, like being conscious. Like, most of the time we are so not conscious of the things that we're doing. We're not asking ourselves questions. Oh, why am I actually doing that? Am I being present? What does presence mean? That's a whole thing. But, you know, it's first getting into the space of being conscious with every single choice that you make. Literally, like I said, I'm doing homeschooling now. It's a tough thing, but there's reasons behind everything that I'm doing now. And now I don't do anything without, like, conviction and reason. So, and then actionable steps to becoming conscious. Well, first, it's all about your journey within. So it's a lot of, like, time and focus on yourself. If you are constantly distracted with what everything life is, like what's happening in life around you, you'll never take that quiet time to actually look inward. And that's literally, I think, the best advice I can give is focus inwardly, like on yourself. Focusing on yourself is, yes, doing things that you enjoy, which is like, you know, active lifestyle, eating well and doing all of these things, but like a spiritual kind of attention inward, because most of the time we don't even realize like who we are and what we really care about and what we like, and trying to connect to that part. So it's actionable steps to going there, and less being busy. Actually, this is a great one. I learned that this year. As women, we are human beings, right? The men are supposed to do and the women are supposed to be, okay? But even as beings, we are beings. We are meant to be. The more we are just being, the closer you get to your inner self.
That's interesting. And
Really interesting.
and it seems as if that's something that you've arrived at now in terms of
Practicing it every day as much as I can.
and, you know, going back a little bit to, I guess, you know, you growing up and seeing your dad, you know, operate these several businesses. And I know you said that you, like, your thing was fine art. And
Yeah.
so where was the eureka moment in terms of, oh, I'm going to set up a business, and how did that come
Yeah.
about?
Do you mean for Drip or just any business in
Well,
general?
yeah,
Well,
your
you started
first-
with this jewelry brand in Ireland.
There was no like eureka moment. I think seeing my dad, like growing up with him as my, literally, I guess, my mentor, but my inspiration. He didn't directly teach me, but he always inspired me. So I've always seen what he's done. And I think I also strive to get the attention from him. So if I was kind of, you know, an entrepreneur or working or, you know, doing something in that space, I would get the attention from him. So I think that's why I ended up always wanting to have my own business. So for me, it wasn't have my own business because this is what I love to do. It was have my own business because this is, I want to be a successful entrepreneur. I want to do things for myself. Looking back now, one of the biggest mistakes was just deciding to have a business for the sake of a business without like real meaning behind it. And that's where you'll see now I'm moving from a burger business to a wellness business, which are almost like contradictory, because the wellness side I really care about, and it's like literally fueled by what I believe and what I understand and what I've learned. It's coming from me. And the burger business was just an idea that I wanted to explore because I felt I had skills, understanding and like business acumen to like execute, basically.
Which you do, and you have done.
Yeah, and I've done it before with other brands as well. So it made sense for me. So there wasn't a eureka moment. There was just, this is what I want to do. So I was going to start whatever idea came to my mind because I was an excellent executor. So the jewelry business that I started, boom. Oh, why not? I have the resources. I was coming to Dubai at the time. I was like buying things over here. I was bringing them back. Then I would go to China. I would like design a few things. Then I would start the business. That's how that happened. For Drip Burgers, I had a dream one night. I wanted to start the business. I wanted to start a business actually in Bali. I was traveling a lot at the time. But then COVID happened. So I was like, okay, let's work with what we have. We're in Dubai. F&B. Why don't you set something up along that line? So that's kind of how that came out. And then the logo came to me in a dream.
Wow.
Apart from that, yeah, like the logo and the name, Drip. That was nice.
I want to delve into the business stuff, but before we do that, I just want to kind of touch back on your healing.
Yeah.
Because I think it was off camera, we were having the conversation about you being one of 6, you're the second one.
Yeah.
And so you were always, you support Liverpool because your sister supports Liverpool and you liked what your sister liked. And now we're talking about business and you wanted to go into business and be an entrepreneur because your dad's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so it's all of this, they're doing this, so I'm going to kind of mimic to a certain degree. So it's not...
You're literally hitting the nail on the head, by the
and
way.
you're not doing what you think is right for you, hence Drip Burger. But now you're going into the wellness space. So although... Giovanni asked about the eureka moment.
I'm even getting tingles as we speak.
There must be some kind of moment where you're like, oh, actually, I don't want to do what my dad's doing or my sister's doing. I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So what was that turning point for you?
I think it was only like last week. I mean, I've been kind of going towards the things that I like with this entire healing journey. But the moment where like I did a session with someone that I go to do, it's like karmic healing. And what I learned through that is one of my biggest blocks is what I learned about myself, which is so deep, was I look to others to know what it is that I want, like to get my happiness. So I look to you, like let's say you're my dad, and instead of like looking towards myself for the answers, I look to you. It's like I give a part of my soul to you, and I wait for you to give it back to me as an answer of like affirming myself. I look to my dad to know what I should do. I look to my husband. I look to my daughter. I look to my sister. Instead of like looking inwardly. So I've constantly been neglecting Nadia, that for so much of my life that I actually don't even know myself so well that I'm actually afraid to not deal with, but to like look to myself and only myself for the answers, because it's scary because I've never done it before. So I learned that about myself, that's what I've been doing this whole life. So when you say like I'm mimicking, I'm, mirroring even, or like taking all of these like things from other people, I am, and I have been, but I just didn't realize it. I've been told my intuition is very, very high multiple times. So the thing that she said to me last week was, you know the answer, you know what's going to work for you, but you're afraid to take that step because you've been doing this habit for so long where you need to exhaust all of the options first to be sure that what you're already doing is not the answer before you take that leap, right? And I do that. That's what I'm saying. I need to, it's like I always have to put myself through struggle first before I make it easy. So this is the part where now, literally since last week, I just flipped it on its head. I told my husband, you're looking after Drip. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to go and do this. And I've put everything else as like secondary, and I'm just jumping into this. And this is where I'm going with it. So now I'm putting what I really want to do first, and I'm not thinking anything else about it. But that feeling of feeling confident to do that wouldn't have come to me any sooner than last week.
I absolutely love that. I mean, you just spoke about having strong intuition, but then also like looking to others for answers. Now,
I was blocking it.
Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but inside the businesses that you have built. You've built multiple businesses that have been successful. Your jewelry brand in Ireland, you said it was selling in multiple shops and online stores and things. Did you do all of that on your own, or was that outside help? So you do have a level of intuition and a level of, I can do it, but maybe you're just
always believed I can do anything I want. So that is very strong in me. I know I can, like I'm resourceful, I'm resilient, I'm persistent. So all of these traits I have, and I will get it done. Like that I know I can do. Like I don't believe that there's like limits on me in that sense. But at the same time, the decision making, the thought process, like how you get there, I make it harder for myself because my own brain gets in the way. Like if we spend so much time in our mind thinking, we constantly are not listening to our intuition, right? The part of you that really knows, it's not in your mind, it's not in your head, it's in your body. Like if I pinch you, you feel it, right? And that's like a body response. Like if you have something difficult is coming up, your body feels that you have anxiety, like you feel anxious, or you think about someone, your body feels love, like someone that you care about. Your body feels it so much earlier than the rest of you. And your mind then tries to understand it, make sense of it, and kind of like regurgitate some kind of logic with it. So if we're always thinking about things, we kind of switch off. It's like another sense. We switch off the feeling and the intuition. We block ourselves. So this part, I've been so much in my mind. It's been really, really hard for me to shut off. So this is something, that's kind of why I've ended up the way I've ended up. My mind, my logic, all of the like failures, the fears, like I let them come back in because logically that's what I should do, right? I should think. I've learned to use my mind to make decisions for so long. I don't know how else to make decisions.
Yeah. You don't know how to listen to your body.
No.
Yeah. Where did that belief come from? You said you've always believed that you can do anything. Were you born like that, or was that like, did someone speak words of like affirmation into you at a young age?
That's a very good question. I know that when I moved to Dubai, I started feeling like that, and especially when I was working with my dad, it was just like in me. But I didn't know it before that because when I was doing the jewelry business, I didn't necessarily know. But
do you think that could have fueled it?
Yeah, I think so.
Well?
Maybe, yeah. I think I believed I could. Like it just kind of came out. I was just seeing myself like doing great things. And if someone tells you, I think I learned this from my dad. If someone tells you no, it just doesn't matter. Like you can still do it. There's like, you see all like some of the most successful people in this world. Like I think it was Jay Shetty. He was only saying recently at, I think a summit that was on here, and I watched the recording. He said like, thank you to everyone who rejected my podcast that said like, it wasn't going to be anything, to the 13 out of 14 people, because you said that people didn't want to hear this kind of content. And I went ahead and did it anyway. Like all the no's that you got, and he was just like, well, I'm still going to do it. And the reason for his success is because he listened to what like was internal with him, and he listened to himself. So he knew. I think once you connect to that inner self, which is hard, like it's a good bit of work, but once you connect to it, I don't think that you'll ever go wrong. So I think that part of knowing you can do anything, it's just, we believe it ourselves. It's just, you have to find it. And maybe my dad helped me bring it out. I don't know.
And your successes along the way.
Yeah. Like those are affirmations. But like, as I said, I struggled with every success for some reason. Like this juxtaposition, like my double life with my mom and my dad growing up, I had to struggle every single way. Like the journey with Drip Burgers, right? For me has been the most difficult journey I've ever had, to the point where like I've just constantly wanted to just like throw it away. And like,
this
just
is
like
the award-winning burger joint. You want to throw it away. And why is that? What's been so hard about the journey?
When I set it up, as I said, I didn't set it up with like an intention that came from within. I set it up with my friend, and I knew I wanted to build my family. And I had the experience, and she didn't have the F&B experience, but I was going to teach her that. And then I got pregnant at the same time as we'd started. So we wanted to do something together. We knew that. And then from the beginning, knowing that like we were going to do a partnership, I was like, okay, and I'm pregnant. I will take care of like the marketing and doing all of that side of thing. And you will take care of the operations and all of that. And then in the first year, we had to go our separate ways. And that left me with everything. A pregnancy, like my first kid, a business full time, like managing everything.
Was that amicably that you went your separate ways?
It was amicable to a certain extent, but we just couldn't work together. Like I hold my hands up and say like I may have known business wise what to do, but I did not know how to treat people in a way that will help you succeed. Like I had to learn a lot about myself. Like this is what I'm saying. My journey with Drip, it has changed me. So now when I appreciate Drip, I appreciate it because of the personal journey that I've gone through, not for the business success. And yeah, so we parted ways, and I was always trying to run away from the business because I never wanted it to be fully on me in the first place. So I found ways to waste a lot of money on like hiring other people to like, you know, look after it, who have the skill set, the expertise, et cetera, and none, it never worked out. Like literally never worked out. And so like over time, what I realized is I just never gave the business the love it deserved because it didn't align with me in so many ways. I had to like figure out how to give it the love it deserves. But the love that it needed from me was to use it for those who actually want to be in it. So for my staff, they care about it, you know? How do I encourage them and motivate them to make it like to own it almost, you know? Even for my husband now, he really does want to be a part of it. And while he doesn't have the learned skill set that I have, he'll do it in his own way. And what I can do is I can empower him to do that for himself. And I can teach him. But I've literally treated so many people like, I would say in an inhumane way now, being quite hard on myself. Because I always kind of put like this sense of, well, business is more important than like your personal life, right? You know, I get that you're going through this at the moment, but can we just put that aside and look at this right now? So even with my partnership, I was like, I felt we couldn't work together because she didn't understand business. And while that was true, I wasn't, because I was so in my ego, I wasn't capable of like coming to her where she was at, which was she was financially struggling. She was emotionally in a difficult place. You know, she left her interior design job to take a chance on like a completely different, like, you know, she just literally quit her whole life and said, I'm going to go into something else. And then, you know, she risked everything. And now she needed money, and the business was just starting. It couldn't necessarily take it. There was ego on both sides. Like also, I had said to her, well, why don't you take money from the business? You can pay it back later. It doesn't really matter. But she didn't want to accept that either. So she needed to go and like find ways to work outside. But I just felt like also I wasn't appreciated in terms of, I wasn't given the respect of actually understanding, knowing that I understand what I understand, like being the one who does know what needs to happen in this scenario, and, you know, being the business side of it. I didn't feel like that part was being respected. So just overall together, it just wasn't happening. And the best part is we have come back together as best friends, you know?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we were
That's
best friends
really
when we
nice.
started, and then she's done her personal journey. And in fact, she's teaching me now. Like she's gone and done real estate. She is excelling at it. You know, she took, I'm sure, many lessons from Drip and from everything else and just really put it to work. And it was meant to happen for both of us in our own ways, because it sparked our own personal journeys. Like there's a few things that sparked it along the way, but that one really kind of hurt me because it was such an emotional, like I was so stuck with those feelings of that parting for so long that it literally emotionally like took up so much of my headspace and time.
And then that's difficult for you because when it comes to business, it's like business first,
Yeah.
emotions second. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
are these emotions feeding into my business?
Literally.
Confusing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to business and you're talking about being able to teach your friend at the time, teaching your husband, you've done multiple businesses with different things. Is there a kind of simple blueprint that you can share, like a step-by-step? Obviously, you've come into knowing, be passionate about what you want to do.
Yeah.
But when you break it down, a lot of people have ideas, but it's like, where do I start?
That's the part that's so easy for me, I feel. the where do I start part, because I'm very much so like I have a solution for everything. Nothing. This is why I believe like I can do anything, because I find ways. Like you tell me something like a problem that you have, and I'll be like, you can do this. I'll give you like 10, 15 different ideas, and you'll be like, what?
To be fair, you've reached out to us at Women Who Thrive before and been like, guys, I just had a thought that you should try and do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, lit, thanks.
Like, so in that sense, like it really comes to me. But as a blueprint for others, there is a lot that you can do in planning, but just remember that as soon as you start everything is, whatever you planned is probably not going to turn out, especially if you don't already know the field that you're stepping into. So if you're not coming from that field already, I can guarantee you that you need to just rip everything up that you've planned, because nothing is going to go to plan. Plans just don't work, but you still need them as your preparation. So it's still very, very important to plan. Now, then the part of getting started, just start, okay? And trust in yourself. You will figure it out, but you just have to start. Because as soon as you start, the real stuff starts. Where to start? Well, you've done your planning, right?
Oh, I guess.
Yeah. So you've done your planning. You have a plan. You've done like your business plan. You know, you've figured out your financials. You have some extra money set aside because you know that it's probably not going to go to plan. You have a backup plan as well. You know what your marketing is going to be. Like you need to do the full 360. Your marketing plan, your study, your space, the service. It depends if it's F&B. Like every little detail you kind of need to go through and have like a fully conceived plan around it before you start. Then when you kind of have that, don't spend too long in the planning because you just waste time. Put a limit of time.
Someone else might come up with the idea before you even execute it.
But you know what? Actually, to that, I want to say, it doesn't matter if someone else will come up with the idea, right? And I think this is really important for people to hear. Don't hide your ideas. It's extremely important for you to share your idea and get it out there, because you will never get feedback until you start, and that's too late. Right? So you always want to share. And even if someone decides to take your idea and they have more money than you and whatever, well, they were going to do that anyway. Because once you start and someone saw, oh, this is great, someone with more money can still come and do the exact same thing, copy it and do it better. So if your thing is that copyable, that easy to mimic, then you don't have anything unique in the first place that only you can do. But just remember that no one can do what you do the way you do it. So that's really, really important to hold on to.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you mentioned before about, having a business and being in a certain space, and then, you perhaps move on mentally or the things that align with you are different to, I think we talked about wellness and, holistic stuff, and then obviously like a burger business and stuff. Because for me, I'm in that same place at the moment in terms of like, I've got a business out here which is event based, and I'm a DJ, and which involves being in the nightclubs, and there's a lot of alcohol involved and stuff. Whereas the journey that I'm on at the moment, I'm not drinking at the moment, and it's very contradictory. So sometimes I feel myself not even wanting to be in those event spaces. So how do you, like, in that moment, knowing that you've got Drip Burger as a business, that you still need to continue, you've got people that work for you who their visas are under you, they're relying on the income from the money that the business generates. How do you kind of balance the two?
Well, so like the decision making on that, I think, is the question. So Drip Burgers in a way kind of does contradict where I'm going with things in the future. However, Drip Burgers also provides a lot of great things. So you always have to look at everything, no matter what it is, and look at the benefits, like the positives in every situation. So Drip Burgers provides finance for lots of different families. It creates jobs. It makes people happy with the food that they eat, and a lot of people will be sad to see it go. While it's not within my bandwidth to continue with it, because I don't have an inspired, drive behind it, someone else is stepping into that space and wants to do it, which is my husband at the moment, or even my employees, if they want to come and take it over. Like, I've literally thought, like, I'm not kidding when I say this, I would be very happy to literally give my staff the business and say, if you can do this with it and I can show you X, Y, Z, if you think you can take it on, take it on. I won't even take it. Like, there will be nothing that I need from you. You just continue and you earn the money from that. I'll be happy.
So when you say give, so you, as in like give ownership or?
Ownership.
And you'd completely kind of remove yourself from it.
I mean, like, let them understand how it works, let them take time. If they want to even like branch out and, we're going to step more into just doing events now. because I don't believe that a store is necessary for our place. We actually have to leave our existing location, the original one now, because of some landlord situation. I said, oh, do I really want to find a new place and do the whole thing? Because that takes time and energy from me.
Where's your location at the moment?
In Arjan.
Okay, yeah.
That takes a lot of time and energy for me that I don't want to put into it right now. And also my husband can't do it. So I'm happy to just do events, which is quite successful for us. And our staff are good at it. So if they want to just like, you know, take on one of our trucks or one of our kiosks and like keep bringing in business and use it as their own business, I'm happy for them to do that. That was literally creating like a source of income for them, for their whole families, and they can create multiple businesses out of it. If they want to do that, I'm happy. The other side, stepping into the other side, right? You're asking like, how do you go and do that? So the positive is that is still doing a lot of things. I will only shut it down if it inhibits me from doing what I want to do, or there's any like negativity coming from it, or negativity can be in it's not making money or any of those things. So if it's not making money, or I'm not helping people, or positive things are not coming out of it, then I would make that choice to like shut it down, or I can't do it and it's taking too much away from my time. So I've kind of like slowly gone through this process where I was about to shut it down to do this a while back, but my husband wasn't ready to do it. And I said, okay, we just continue. And he wanted to start like, you know, putting money into it. But that still meant that I've been doing a lot of the work. So I just went into a slow kind of like dissolve, and now he's kind of stepping in. It just happened naturally, and now I'm more going this way, and now I've like officially said I'm not doing anything more with this. You need to handle it. If you can't, then you know what you need to do.
So it's about making a slow transition.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to close it down, if even if it meant like all the money that we'll lose. I was okay with that. I had actually made peace with it. But something, like the feeling part, something was still telling me not now. Like something, and I couldn't tell you what it was. I can just say the intuition part, because I wasn't like, I didn't have the attachment anymore. I'd actually worked on a lot of like removing the attachments, because like you've done like 4 years of work for it. It's very hard to close something or to say no to something when you put so much work into it. It almost feels like, why would you do that? Like, why would you give up everything you've ever, you know, like worked for, like your achievements, this, that. Like there's an attachment that you have for it. But what's waiting for me is greater. And that's not a part of me anymore. But does that mean you just close it down? So I don't know. Patience kind of gives you answers as well. Kind of just unfolds by itself. And that's what happened. I think I've relearned this lesson as well. Patience over and over and over again. When you don't get an answer, like a clear answer, patience is your best friend, because it unfolds things in the way it should. You're just like leaving it up to, you know, the world, universe, everything, God, and it will just kind of happen for you the way it's supposed to go. So that was the thinking part. Remove your mind, remove your thought process, just wait and see. I don't have to make a decision. It kind of makes itself for you.
Yeah.
Lean into patience, Giovanni.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some decisions to make, but no, I think it's powerful that, you know, you kind of got to the point where you were like, okay, I'm ready to leave. I'm at peace with that, because I think that's probably what a lot of people, you know, maybe hold on to, is that, you know, this is generating X, Y, Z. Like, why would you, you know, pull it away? But I think, you know, if you can make peace with it, then that definitely helps. So
yeah, because like if it just doesn't agree with you in so many ways, like I think to myself all the time, I'm putting so much energy like all my day. Like I don't have time outside of being a mom and doing everything else that I want to do anything new. So if I don't create space for that, then how will I move forward if it's not like fulfilling me in that way? I tried so many times to find ways to make it fulfill me, like, you know, with like giving back to the staff and doing all of these things, like trying to find meaning in it for myself, just wasn't aligning. Like I can't tell you, it just wasn't. And sometimes if it just doesn't align with you, then, you know, you kind of have an answer. It's just now the steps that you take, like to switch over. So for some people it can be easy, you know, you just make the change. Like I was told recently, you know, I like to do the struggle, evaluate everything first and then make the decision. But as soon as I step into knowing where I want to go, I will succeed in it. Like, why would you not like step into that sooner?
yeah, and you mentioned earlier homeschooling.
Yeah.
What's that like, and how does that compare to? I mean, has your child ever been in?
She's
school?
been in nursery, and that's been great because what it did was it gave me time to work on what I was working on, because there's only so when your kid's around, you cannot focus on other things, and it's also not right. But also kind of going into the direction that I'm going, I really believe on like nurturing my kids from a young age. I wouldn't want her to be in her 20s still trying to figure out what she likes in her 30s, for unlearning everything, kind of going through the same processes we've been going through. If I was maybe, and I don't mean any offense to my parents when I say this is just, we're all a part of new world thinking. So if we're privileged enough to have the nurturing attention from a young age that you can get from your parent in a very short space of time, your kid can understand so much more about themselves. And especially knowing where I'm at. Like I feel blessed to have had my child late, like, because I'm such a different person. So the parent that she's getting is amazing, And that first to 7 years, 1 to 7 is the year where you learn all your belief systems are built then. So if I'm doing a better job in year 1 to 7, I don't have to worry about what's coming after that. She's going to manage to do it herself. She's going to be able to think for herself, be able to choose what she wants to do. She's going to know what she wants to do. She's going to know herself, not the outside world. And I think school, you've probably seen or understood or heard that like school was made to build factory workers. It's a structured design. While it's way better nowadays, it was made to build people that are maybe well educated, but like a jack of all trades, right? And why do you need a jack of all trade when we only pick one thing in our future and one thing that we work on for X amount of years after? So why are you diversifying so much to the point where your kid is confused?
How old is your
Yeah,
kid?
she's only 3 and a
Okay,
half.
yeah.
But it was a big step for me to decide to do homeschooling. I wanted to. I really
It's a
wanted
lot of pressure
to.
for yourself.
Yeah. And then again, I was like, when do I do it all? Wait till she has to start like KS1. And I was like, screw it, just do it now.
So I'll figure it out. You're basically teaching her the curriculum. Is that how it works?
So I'm going to do a little bit of both at the moment. Like it's been 2 days. So I have a maid and I'm showing her what her day needs to look like so that I can do the work that I'm currently working on. But at the same time, I'm like micromanaging that work, and I also do certain lessons myself. But like as long as I'm at home, which I will be most of the time, and around her throughout the entire day, I can teach her endless things that you won't have outside. And it's also making me really aware of what she needs to learn by planning her schedule and by planning her homeschooling. It's allowed me to reach out to like so many other like alternatives in terms of schooling. So like, and now I'm gonna go to like a Montessori thing on like on the weekend, a conference, to learn a little bit more, to figure out how I want to educate her and what are the best things to kind of go about it.
It's exciting, isn't it? And I feel like,
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a sign of like things to come in the UAE, because like school fees are expensive, right?
Yes.
Like,
So expensive.
I mean,
It's ridiculous.
What would you say like for a term for?
So I saw
It's 30K.
on Instagram. Yeah, around 30K per term.
Per term.
Yeah, per term.
30K dirhams.
Is there less?
No, yeah. I was with a friend not that long ago, and she said she pays 30K a term for all 3 children. Though.
Yeah.
So what's that in?
And like
For 3
the
kids.
more
What's that in, like,
expensive ones
English?
are like 45 to 50K.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like £6,000.
£6,000.
So like £2,000 a term per child, around about.
So double that for a year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
double that for the number of triple.
No,
if you
triple
have
for,
3
yeah, 3
kids,
terms.
depending. Yeah.
Oh wow.
There's 3
so that's
terms
what,
in a year.
6K English.
For the good schools,
Mm.
the one with this XYZ grade, like there's ratings for the school as well.
And obviously, if you're gonna put your kid in school, ideally you'd want to put them in,
The best school
best.
you can.
Yeah.
Of course.
Plus, then a lot of kids they want to do outside activities, and in Dubai
Yeah, and
there's
then
so
more
many different
money
like
and more-
sports, and you can send your kids skiing here in Dubai.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
endless.
There's so many things. So it's
But I
just
will
on
say,
top
like, a
each
lot of
other.
things can be free as long as you have someone that's willing to do that with you. So, like, the whole, like, if I'm available for her, she can do so much more. But if I'm not available, I have to pay for it now.
Yeah.
Right. But in terms of the school thing, I think it's already happening a lot. But this is another part of the spectrum that I want to step into more in terms of like creating like a system that our kids can go to school. I feel like the more I learn towards it, eventually I'm going to end up there as well.
Yeah. I think you're going to really enjoy it actually.
Yeah.
Alongside your learning, your own self-development learning journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Teaching your child to love herself and to learn how to read and write all at the same time.
Yeah. I think it's just like business now is like whatever I do and whatever I care about, and just share it out for everyone else. So for them to learn the exact same things, it's just giving resources and making that available to everyone else. That's my business now. I have no other business except for being myself and sharing that with everyone.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing.
I love how you've almost like come full circle in terms of, like you talked about, not having, I guess, the emotional intelligence to meet your friend where she was at when you had running Drip Burger to now, you being so, conscious of, you mentioned the word nurturing and nurturing, your daughter's development. And, I think maybe off air, we spoke about you potentially opening a wellness center. And
Yeah. That's actually what I'm working on at the moment. So the F&B side, so I'm doing like a wellness catering for a corporate office. And then, so it kind of created like a cart, and I put together the menu. And the menu is basically to nourish your body from within. But as well as doing that, there's a lot of education that will have to go hand in hand with people that will kind of approach us, because the knowledge that I have, like you're not going to pick up the meals that I have unless you understand what the benefit of having them is. Otherwise, people will just go for the exact same food that they always eat. So food is literally healing. Water is extremely healing. There's like so many ways that you can do that. A lot of information available online about it as well. But you can heal your body in any way. I'm currently working with some family members that are like with cancer, and trying to see if we can now put the natural healing methods to the test. And I'm pretty sure in a couple of months we'll give you a positive result.
I'm looking forward to getting that update from you.
But I'm so sure, because I have a friend who I met in Dubai, and she also went to learn about like herbalism and like from Dr. Sebi, and did that. And she has been working within like that space of like healing yourself and doing all of these things for a very long time. I'd say that she's definitely someone who have been very much so inspired in her journey. And her dad had prostate cancer, and her video went viral, like 4 million plus views on it. And within 3 months, she healed his prostate cancer. So she went to the doctor. She took all the records of his vitals, all the records of the state of his cancer, like all of the documentation was there. And he did absolutely no chemotherapy, nothing else.
Wow.
And then went and retested everything, and he was 100% cancer free.
After 3 months?
3 months, it was, I don't know if it was fully cancer free, but it had dramatically changed. And then within, I think, 7 months or something like that, totally gone.
Do you think it needs to go hand in hand, the kind of the food, the water, what you're feeding yourself, but also how your mind is playing?
100% the mindset, because illness will come back as soon as you keep telling yourself those negative things. So like, in Islam, I don't know if you 100% you'll understand this, but in Islam we have like, in Christianity you probably have it as well. Like I always talk about like purification, purity, all right? And when you purify your body, purifying your body is like your mind, your body, and your soul, right? So purification of your body is keeping it clean. You understand that in terms of food. Purifying your mind, meditation, keeping it like away from like negative thoughts, all of those those negative thoughts that we have, right? That's purification of your mind, and to use it more as a tool. And then purification of your soul, like your soul feeds you. So like also the decisions that you make and how you nurture your soul, like keeping that, nurturing it. So when you do all of these kind of purifications of yourself, you will never be ill, like never.
Wow.
There's a woman, I think there's a whole wellness weekend on this weekend, Kayani Wellness. And I think Marissa Pierce, Sadhguru, and a couple of other people, these are all people that'll be there, like kind of be able to share and explain similar things. But they're like people, my friend alone, she hasn't been sick in 7 years since she's been doing this. She can't even remember a single time. I mean, not even the flu, Same for countless other people that will tell you they just don't get sick anymore because they're able to do these things for themselves. So yeah, the mind or what you're thinking, what you're feeling will kind of re-trigger back into your body until you train your mind to not do that anymore. So the purification is not being trained well enough. That doesn't happen. You're always positive no matter what. And yeah, so illness forms because of emotions and thoughts that we have stuck in our body that create disease and illness in the body. So every illness is dis-ease, so like discomfort with yourself.
I do think that there's something to be said with that, because we had a guest on like a couple months ago, and he was basically in a sort of near-death experience, and he was in a hospital bed, and he's told us of how like he had loads of tubes inside of him, etc. But he noticed someone else who was in a like far worse condition than he was, and had actually lost like family members as a result of the injury and stuff. And he said in that moment he saw the dad of this guy that was in the hospital bed already. So positive, and he was just like, how can this guy be so positive when he's had to endure all of this, and I'm here feeling like a victim? So in that moment he said, I refuse to be a victim anymore, and he decided to adopt this approach of I'm not a victim, I'm not a victim. And then that's when he attributes that was the moment when he started to recover from his injuries
100%.
and stuff. And I remember, because that stuck with me, and like with my knee injury, I've had this knee injury for like a year or so or whatever. And
so powerful.
I think I was always like, going to a workout or doing a competition, but I was always like, even with my teammates being like, like I'll do it, but my knee, and I kept on,
use it as an excuse.
Yeah, I'll use it as an excuse. I even had like these little patella straps on my knee and stuff. And then there was one day when I was like, do you know what? I'm going to take these straps off, and I'm not going to mention my knee when I'm training anymore. And then I did notice that I went from not being able to run to be able to run again and stuff. So I do think that there is, but sometimes 100%. You can forget that. Do you know what I mean? It's so easy to just kind of fall into your default.
Yeah. You just have to keep practicing. I think like once I've started this journey, all I learned is that it's like never ending, and you just keep on learning. And I think the beauty of this life is that we have the opportunity to live it, and what you do with your everyday. So like, I feel like I'm just only learning every single day, and that's probably the most that I can do and actually live my life. Like, I think a year ago, I was really struggling with drip and everything, just mentally, emotionally, everything. And I was like, this is not the life I want to live. This is not my road to financial freedom. This is not me living my everyday, living my best. I had forgotten how much of someone was saying, this message kept coming up to me, like, I'm not living with joy. I'm not living with joy. The joy is not in my life. And I was like, how does that apply to me? Because I'm grateful for everything that I have. And I was choosing to be grateful, but I still wasn't living with joy. I wasn't out here like remembering the fact that like, I wanted to climb Kilimanjaro. I wanted to do all of these things with my life at some point. Where have those dreams and thoughts and opportunities gone? Why am I not doing them? There's literally nothing stopping me. Nothing. Tell me today, can I afford it? Yeah. Can I physically do it? Yeah. So why am I not? Like, why? So those are the only things you have to ask yourself. And then it's the only reason is you're just not choosing it, and you're not living in the present moment, right? And if I do that, I will go and do those things. So I am. So we have every single day as an opportunity. But at that time, I was not living my best life. I was not enjoying it. I was just spending hours when I felt like I could be doing something else. Didn't understand like why I had to keep doing this. I was hanging on to something. Like, do I really need to hang on to that? It's a choice I'm making at the end of the day. Like, I have the choice to go and step into that life that I really want to live. And it just takes a little bit of guts from you to say yes and do it. And everything else, whatever all the worries and thoughts that you have, like, it's really hard to do this part. My husband always reminds me, the thinking part, don't think about it. And you're like, yeah, but I have salaries to pay next month, and what am I going to do? And how, if I don't plan for it, how is it going to happen? Yes, but the planning and the worry and the sitting into that is making that your reality. So you actually have to forget it and live today like, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to enjoy. And somehow you're going to get there anyway. And you're just going to enjoy the ride. The more you're happy, the more you're enjoying the ride, the more you're living every day, the more you're in positivity, love frequency, happiness, gratitude, that literally vibrates so much higher than anything else that everything else will change around you. And the way will come in front of you. But the more we set back into our old habits of thoughts and thinking and overthinking and, fears and feelings, then you make that everything around you, and it just keeps like spiraling. So that was my journey with drip. It was just constantly worrying and thinking I'm responsible for so many people and having everything just constantly be quite negative around me. I would definitely say in that stress, I was so negative to myself, to everyone around me. I decided, okay, I think at that point there was a moment, I think just before we won the award, I was spent a few months. I said I can't work on work anymore, so I have to work on myself.
First of all, thank you so much
Sorry.
because it's been absolutely phenomenal. But
Thank
we
you.
do have a closing tradition on this podcast. If you could implement one rule for anyone and everyone to follow
Yeah.
in this life, what would it be?
Ultimately, yourself and God first. So if you put you and God are the same, all right? You are of one. When you put that first in your life, everything else will eventually fall into place because you'll be leading with the best, like the only guide. Like you are no better than the guidance that God can give you. So when you kind of set that in place, like it's at the top of your pyramid, everything else will fall into place and it will literally change your life.
No, it's been really good having you on here. And
Thank you.
Just before we close, just for the benefit of people listening, if you can hear like some sort of deep bass, it's not no one passing
It's the
wind or anything.
subwoofer.
Like, yeah. We're in Dubai, we're a Dubai-based podcast, and there's always developments all over,
Happening all the
construction all the
time.
time. So that's what you can hear. There's a construction site next door to us, but
Which is shaking this whole building.
literally,
Yeah, bouncing.
Yeah.
But no, Nadia, it has been
Thank you,
very
guys.
great
Really
having you on. It was
appreciate it.
powerful. You've definitely
Thank
said
you.
some things that I think will hit home as well.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for being so open and honest as
Thank
well.
you.
Transparent.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
yeah.